What's up, military millionaires? I'm David Pere, and today we're going to talk about the best military side hustles for the year 2021, and really just in general, but here's why I think these are actually, I'll go through why I think these are specific to 2021, and obviously I'll put some links down below if you want to check some of these out. But subscribe, smash that like button, and let's dig in. The first is Airbnb, and I know this might not sound like a side hustle so much as an investment game, but check it out. If you have a room, like a bedroom in your house that you can rent out, you can do pretty well on Airbnb. I make between $1,200 and $1,500 a month renting one bedroom out on Airbnb. When I rented two, it basically covered the entire rent for this place that I'm living in. And yes, I said rent. I don't even own this house. I got my landlord to agree to let me sublease and do Airbnb. Yeah, suffice it to say, I think Airbnb is great. There are some downsides, right? Like you might have people in your house, but I've made a ton of money, and for the most part, I mean, I've had one or two guests that weren't ideal, but for the vast majority of my guests, they've been awesome, and I would absolutely do it again. Number two on the list is Turo, which is where you can rent your car out to somebody else to drive your car. So you can rent out your car, and so if you had two cars, I actually had a buddy who had like a fleet of vehicles that they leased and then used Turo to rent and create cash flow. So it might be a little bit extreme, but let's say you have a car and you don't drive it on weekends, maybe you can Turo it out on weekends. Or if you have a car and you're walking distance to work during the week, you can rent it out during the week. Or maybe you and your wife both have a car, you don't need them both. Just a cool way to earn a little bit of extra money for literally doing nothing other than saying, yeah, here, you can rent my car. And they have some great ways to take care of you, so I'm a fan. Three is Uber. Really any driving service right now for food or for anything like that, they're able to give you pretty solid returns, and they you get to meet some cool people, but there's some restrictions right now as far as like wearing a mask everywhere and where you can and can't go, and it might be somewhat specific to your market, but I like Uber anyway because you get to learn your area. So I almost think that I recommend Uber to people when they move somewhere for at least a little bit, because you get to learn the town, you'll learn what areas are good, what areas are building out. So if you're into real estate at all, Uber's a great side hustle to A, meet people and talk to them about real estate, and B, learn your way around town and keep your finger on the pulse of what's moving and what's growing and what's shrinking and all that stuff. Number four is really any kind of food delivery, right? Uber Eats. I have Uber Eats on the way to the house right now. Instacart. There's a lot of these different things where you can, basically deliver food to people or pick up meals for people or pick up groceries for people. And there's a lot of options here that play into how this works, but it grew a ton during the pandemic. People are staying home, they're eating home, they're not wanting to go to the grocery store. For whatever reason, it exploded. So you might be able to do very well with some of these platforms like Uber Eats and Instacart, especially if you're smiley and happy and they give you a good tip. Number five is freelancing. If you have any kind of skill like video editing, audio editing, graphic design, those are just some random things, but freelancing could be anything, right? If you have a skill set, especially on the creative side, you can absolutely do very well sitting at home on your own time, on your own schedule, doing some freelancing. I have some friends who do very well with this. So just something to think of. I mean, shoot, if you have a setup and you do like a podcast, you could even do like audio, like recording audiobooks for people if you have a good voice, or recording audio content for people, and that could be something that turns out very lucrative. So there's like all kinds of cool things that you can kind of jump into in the freelancer space. All right, number six is real estate professionals. So this is talking about like agents and lenders, and just in general, the profession of real estate is exploded this year. It's probably the hottest it's ever been. It's probably the hottest it will ever be in our life. I don't know that, but I'm just speculating. But it's been extremely hot all across the nation. So being a real estate agent, being a real estate lender, but the thing is, you have to understand that it's not going to stay this hot. Just know that on the real estate front, it's not going to last forever, right? It's not going to be this hot forever, especially if you're a lender. The refinances are going to end. Eventually, it's going to be a little harder to find business. Same on the real estate agent side. So you either need to knuckle in and know that there will be rough times coming and you're going to be okay, or you need to know, like, hey, this is just a part-time thing. Enjoy it, take that extra income and roll it into something else, but don't bank on things being this good forever. It's just not going to be the case. So I think there's some potential in being a real estate professional for sure. Just make sure you have the right understanding going in. Number seven I put is blogging or building an online brand, and I think that's been crucial for me. I will say it's not easy. It's not going to be fast. It's going to take a lot of work, You're not going to see the results for a long time, but there is a lot of upside to this kind of strategy, right? Building a blog, building a business, building a brand can be huge, but you just need to focus on, you know, making sure that you are in it for the long term. I think there's a ton of potential in intellectual property and have an online platform. I really love all of that stuff. But again, just know what you're getting into and make sure that you're in the right frame of mind for taking on all this stuff. Number 8 is garage sales. And I know that's a weird answer, but you can actually make a ton of money flipping stuff on garage sales. I did a challenge for a little while and I was making like 1,000% returns. I think I made like 67,000% return on one thing. Like I bought it for like 50 cents and sold it for like 90 bucks. It's not easy. It's gonna take time. You're gonna have to go to garage sales and buy stuff. You're gonna have inventory sitting around. Like if you don't like clutter, don't do it. It's kind of chaotic, kind of disorganized. There will be tons of things that don't sell, but you can make a ton of profit on the things that do, especially if you can find like legitimate hardware for computers that someone just didn't want for dirt cheap and then flip it, or like printers seem to be a good item that people get rid of dirt cheap and they still hold their value. There's some interesting things out there. I mean, I've got a helmet, like a triathlon helmet that I'm probably gonna sell for 100 bucks that I got for pretty cheap on Craigslist, and a pair of Beats Pro headphones, like random things that you can get for decent prices. Tech and like collector type stuff seems to be pretty hot, but just know that it's, you know, you never know if it's really going to be that valuable. You got to do your homework. You need to pull up eBay and Amazon and look for things that have actually sold at that price range, not that are listed, but have sold, and do your math. But you can do very well and make a lot of money doing this. In fact, I was garage sailing last year and I ran into this guy who does it full time and makes, you know, tens of thousands of dollars a month. So it's definitely possible. And for number 9 here, I put estate sales, which is basically the same thing as the garage sale. You're going through and you're buying stuff out of this house from someone who died, but with the potential of buying the house. You never know. Sometimes, a lot of times, the house is for sale or they're thinking about selling it. And so just showing up at these estate sales can be very beneficial. In fact, I have a friend who's even bought a house at an auction that was going at the same time as the estate sale. So they auctioned the house at the estate sale. So you never know. Cool opportunity. I like the idea of flipping some stuff, but as I said, it's not fast and painless. It does take effort. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, these are 9 different ideas for side hustles you can do to earn some extra income. I will say, as I always say, that income isn't everything. You need to focus on the expenses too, because if you make an extra $1,000 and you're in a 20% tax bracket, you really only made an extra 800 bucks. But if you save $1,000 on what you were already paying taxes on, you saved an extra $1,000 because that's post-tax. So just know that expenses, having that low underline is great. If you're going to take on a side hustle, make sure that whatever that side hustle income is, none of it goes to like expenses. It all goes to investing, or you're going to be stuck in this loop forever where you make a little bit more money, you spend a little bit more money, you make more, you spend more, you have to hustle more. You don't want to be there. Make sure you're well-rounded, keep your expenses under wraps, and subscribe to the channel. Asshole.